Okay, welcome to Grue and thanks for coming on and doing the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. I know that you
Definitely.
just spoke to Camden,
I
like,
did.
right
I did.
before
Yeah.
this.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a really sweet guy.
He's very, very sweet. Nothing like his character. So just imagine the chaotic twink that Camden is, but dressed in, like, Victorian garb, running around set. I think that always brings me joy just thinking about that.
Right? Exactly. There you go. Hey. So, I'm picturing that in my head now.
Yeah. Yeah. Just him being like, "Hey," with, like, his phone, just, like, typing away, but, like, wearing, like, a pirate shirt. Like, it's really great to think about.
Yes, exactly. So, so I was like, I was reading about you. Like you started doing stage work first, right? Before doing film and television.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my story is pretty standard with a lot of theater kids. I started doing drama in high school, and then
Mhm.
that bled out into college, did that, and then after college didn't know what else to do, so I came to New York City, and now here we are.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, it's the city that never sleeps, right?
Yeah. I will say people sleep here, and so do businesses. I feel like in my first few months of living here, that's what everyone on the phone back home would say. They're like, "The city that never sleeps." And I was like, if you're hungry at 3 a.m., it is hard to find food.
Oh,
So,
really?
like, I feel like that debunks that myth.
Oh,
There's normal people here who sleep at night.
okay. Except if you're at a club or a bar and leaving at 2, 3 in the morning and you want something to
Sure,
eat.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're one of those people, then go
If you're
ahead,
one of
find
those
a
people.
yeah, find a gas station, get some donuts and live your life.
Yeah, yeah, donuts and a nice big cup of coffee.
Yeah.
So, which play did you have the most fun doing?
Just play in general? Oh, that's a good one. Um, I mean, here's the thing. So my very first show that I ever did, it was The Wizard of Oz, and that was in high
Ooh,
school.
really?
I feel like it's impossible to not have a good time in that
Yeah.
show. Just because it's whimsical and it's the cast is so big. So, everyone who auditioned got in, so we all felt really special.
Oh,
Uh
okay.
but that was my first introduction into theater, and it was um kind of the first time. It wasn't one of those instances where I was like, "Ooh, I found what I want to do for the rest of my life." It was more of, "Oh, these are the kinds of people that I want to hang out with,"
Okay.
during life. So it wasn't necessarily the acting and being on stage. That was fun and I did enjoy it, but it was more
Yeah.
so like, "Oh, I found my people who are, like, kind of weird and dorky, but you know, it doesn't matter." I mean, of course, it's my first show. That's kind of cliche, but I'll say The Wizard of Oz as
Okay.
as my quirky random answer.
Well, I want to see that play Wicked. Like I've been wanting to see that.
hmm I mean, it's not going anywhere, so you'll have plenty of opportunities.
I, I'm sure you probably seen it, right?
I have definitely seen it. How many times? I think I've only seen it 3 times,
Okay.
which I understand is a privilege to have seen it more than once. Um, yeah, I saw the first time I saw it was on tour, and then I did a Broadway show called Be More Chill. I was an understudy, and one of my fellow understudies, Talia Soskauer, she eventually after Be More Chill went to Wicked, and she was Elphaba, and so I went and saw her do that.
No, well,
Yeah,
I will definitely go see it next time it comes to my Philadelphia area.
sure. Or you can just wait, 10 years for the movie to come out.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So, so what what drew you to want to act? Like what made you fall in love with acting?
Um, my older brother did it before me, and we had always, him and I, sort of been performing just in the living room and stuff like that,
Okay.
but he was definitely more outgoing than I was. And so he did it in public and I did not. And then it wasn't until high school where he kind of came up to me and was like, "Look, you're good at this, and I think that you should do it." And that was actually the Wizard of Oz. He forced me to audition for the Wizard and realize, like, oh, I am good at this and it's something that I can do. And it, uh it was just kind of the only place that I felt purpose and joy and satisfaction. And so it wasn't necessarily a situation of, oh, I have to do this for the
Yeah.
rest of my life. It was more so like, I'm gonna keep doing this until there's for sure signs that I should stop.
Okay.
uh and so far there haven't been any signs that I should stop, so I'm like, as long as it keeps working out, I'm very happy to be here. So that's just kind of how it works out. And maybe that's a little cynical and realistic, but that's my mindset.
Okay, there you go. I'm laughing at that shirt. Ew, David. That's like
Oh, yeah. Didn't even realize, yeah. Just threw that on.
I know. I was like laughing at that. I'm like, oh wow, look at that shirt. So, and you were part of the show Dash and Lily, and I love this the story of Langston and Boomer. And what did you like most about that story and working with Donate?
Mm. It's funny. So yeah, Dante, who played Boomer, we didn't actually have any scenes together. Sorry, there's a siren going by right now. So if you can hear that, I very much apologize.
It's all right.
Um, uh, Dash and Lily was a really, really special project. It was actually written by the same person who wrote Be More Chill. And so
Oh,
that's,
really?
yeah, that's how I got an audition for it. I remember during rehearsals for Be More Chill, his name is Joe Trace. He's a wonderful writer. And he came up to me and said, I'm writing this new Netflix show, and there's a part that I think you'd be really good for. It's for a half Japanese gay brother. And I was like, well, hello. That's me. And and a couple months later, I got an email with an audition, and I read the script, and I was like, this sounds exactly how I talk. Which later, after, like years later, after the show had been out, Joe told me that he wrote the part with me in mind, and I was like, oh,
Wow.
well, that's
Okay.
very
Okay.
flattering. Thank you. Um, but it was a very special project because, I mean, first of all, it was, it's based off of a successful book series that's very sweet, and it's a holiday series. And I think what was special about it was a really small cast and really small crew, and we were all very aware of what we were making. We were just set out to make something that made everybody feel good and warm during the holidays.
Okay.
We weren't trying to blow it up and make it something really revolutionary. And I think because of that, it has its fan base. And also, it was about a mixed Asian family, which,
Mhm.
I feel like nowadays that still is rare to see, but it doesn't feel like, you know insane,
Yeah.
the thought of
Yeah.
it.
Exactly.
But that was the first time in my career that I was actually asked to play someone of my own ethnic background. Up
Wow.
until then, it was all like I would play Asian roles, or I would play, I would even get called in for Latino roles. And because I'm what was known as ethnically ambiguous, so they would, whatever I would kind of pass for, they would call me in for. Or I would play roles where the ethnicity didn't matter, which I don't have a problem with. I think that's great. But it was the first time that I was asked to play something where my background and heritage was a part of it and
Yeah.
celebrated for that. So because of that, it felt really special. As far as to answer your question of working with Dante, we didn't have any scenes together. So I met him at our very first read through when, like, you know, the whole cast and everyone was there,
Okay.
and then never saw him again. But he did a fantastic job.
And another show, you play Damien on We Crashed.
Mhm.
So like how did you wind up getting the role for that?
That was just that I got that like in the midst of the pandemic when no one was going outside. And so it was, you know, um it was a self-tape in my apartment, and they originally called me in for another part that I don't remember the name of. Um and I sent that audition in, and then they responded back and said, "Never mind, we want to see you for this part." It's like, great.
Oh, really?
Um, yeah, and so and the part was just it was just Damien. That's all it said, no last name. And I sent the tape in, and then I got an offer. And then a couple weeks later, I get sent like the contract, and it said like Damien Perez. I think is what the last name was. And I
Okay.
was like, oh, they think I'm Latino again. Uh and so which has happened before. And so I remember I reached out to my agents and I was like, are they, I was like, because I knew that the show was based off of like a true story. So I was like, is this character based
Mhm.
on a real person, or does the last name actually matter? Because if it doesn't, can we change it just to something Asian? Just to, you know, be safe. I didn't want people thinking like, oh, he stole a role from a Latino person. Um, and I was like, sure. And so yeah, they wrote back and were like, oh, it doesn't matter. And I was like, okay. So they just like saw my picture and thought I was Latino, and which is, you know,
Oh,
understandable. That happens all the time. But yeah, so then they changed it to Damien Saito. And I didn't know what it was until like my first day on set. And and
okay.
like my dressing room said Damien Saito. And I was like, oh, cool. I guess that's who I am now. Um but that was a crazy experience because up until then, most of the products that I did were fairly low budget. Even Dash and Lily was kind of a lower, it was lower on the
Mhm.
budget end of as far as Netflix shows go.
Okay.
Um, We Crash, my first day, I showed up and they were like, we're gonna shoot this scene first. And they brought me to this field and they were like, stand here. And then the helicopter's gonna come around and land. And I was like, okay. And I figured I was like, I'm gonna pretend to watch a helicopter land. And then they were like, action. And then I hear, and then like this helicopter comes around, and I was like, oh, it's real. Wow. What, they bought a helicopter. And that helicopter flew around many, many times, and then it landed, and Jared Leto and Anne Hathaway came out, and
What?
that was the first time I met them.
Oh my God,
This
that is
was
so
like,
awesome.
yeah, which is like while it was rolling, and then I was like, oh, so you guys have money, got it. So that was a fun experience.
Wow. Yeah, definitely. How were they both on set? Jared Leto and Anne.
You know, Jared, as most people know, is fully a method actor, which,
Yeah.
you know, to each their own. So I unfortunately didn't actually get to meet Jared because he was in
Okay.
character the whole time, because he was
Okay.
in
Yeah.
character as his character, whom I'm an idiot and I already forgot his name. Uh, and however, and also I didn't really have a lot of scenes with him. I was mostly with Anne, who
Gotcha.
was so sweet and one of the most detail oriented, thorough professional people I've ever worked with. And it was really fascinating to watch her work because she's very intricate. And I'm sounding very actory, which sounds really annoying, but it was one of the, I feel like you do have, you know, when you're thinking of like A-list celebrities, you have this
Yeah.
idea in your head of who they are, and you're
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh,
Of
you
course.
know, they're very out of touch and everything.
Yeah.
But with Anne, it was like, oh, she has a theatrical background. So she's like a
Oh,
theater
okay.
girl. And and you can tell she was like she's a total nerd about storytelling and acting. So it was very fun to just watch her because she was very she's really impressive.
Oh, nice,
Yeah.
nice. And there's a horror movie that just came out now, S- Summoning Sylvia, and can you tell us about what drew you to want to play in this film?
Yeah. So I had known Alex Wise, who's one of the creators and
Hmm.
directors, and you spoke to both of them.
Yeah.
And so I'd met him previously, and he reached out to me and he said, "Hey, Wes Taylor and I have written this movie and we're going to produce it, and I would love for you to audition for one of the roles." And I was like,
Okay.
"Absolutely." And so they actually had me audition for Kevin, who Noah Ricketts ended up playing. So I sent, who's actually my love interest in the movie.
Yeah.
So I sent in an audition tape for that, and then I just got an offer for Reggie after that. So I didn't actually, so I never actually technically auditioned for the part that I got. Um, but yeah, I don't know. But I remember, yeah, Alex sent me the script. I'd never read anything that he'd written before.
Okay.
And, you know, I read a lot of scripts, and it was probably the first script that I ever like laughed out loud reading it.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, wow, this is legitimately funny.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
there's multiple times, multiple jokes per page. It moves so fast. And
Mhm.
for I think what drew me to it a lot was like for a queer movie, it didn't feel heavy-handed in that sense. I feel
Oh,
like
yeah. No.
yeah, I feel like they created a really beautiful story that didn't feel like we were trying to educate the audience or teach
Yeah.
the audience a lesson, which there's times and places for that.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, this movie is just about four best friends and a ghost, and a straight guy, and it's really funny and spooky, and I think that that's wonderful. And
Oh, yeah.
so in that, it's kind of the same with Dash and Lily, where I was like, in the fact that it wasn't trying to push anything and wasn't trying to be big or revolutionary. Because of that, it kind of is.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
so it this project felt really special. I've never watched anything that I've been in more than once, and I've watched this
Okay.
movie at least 8 times because I love it so
Really?
much. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. But yeah, I saw the film too. They sent the screener before it was out, of course. But yeah, like I seen it too, and I was going in thinking it was like a horror movie, but then I was pleasantly surprised on the comedy side too.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
I think
it definitely is a mix of both areas, horror and comedy.
I think so. I do think that I have had some friends who really like horror movies say
Mhm.
like it wasn't that scary. And they're right. It's not that scary.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
but it's good.
more comedy. Uh, yeah, I thought it was I think it's a beautiful mixture of both. And I think
Oh,
that,
definitely,
you know,
definitely,
it's ooky spooky and fun.
definitely. That's what I like. How eerie the scenery is.
Hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And for anyone who don't know about the film or about your character, can you tell us a little bit about the character you play and what the film is?
Yeah. So my character is Reggie, and he is the very type A, very anal and organized friend of the group. And I'm also the best man of this foreseeable wedding. And I've organized this kidnapping of Larry the groom, and we bring him upstate to this haunted house for his bachelor weekend. and we're gonna have a gay old time in this haunted house that is allegedly haunted by a murderous widow named Sylvia, who's played by Vianne Cox, a underrated gay icon.
Yes.
And yeah, and then chaos ensues when the groom, who's played by Travis Cole's Larry, when his future brother-in-law has joined the bachelor weekend, and he's a very, very heterosexual man. So that offers its own comedy. I do think like one of the brilliant things that Alex and Wes has done is that a lot of times, whenever there is queer representation, they're usually
Mhm.
the only one in this universe that's in a movie or a TV show. So they're
Yeah.
usually somewhat of an outsider. And, you have your group of friends and then you have the gay friend. And what they've done here is the complete opposite, where it's a straight guy who's entered a very homosexual environment and doesn't know what's going on. And it's very, very funny. But another beautiful thing that they've written is that there's no hate woven into the story. And I feel like a lot of times people lean to that mainly because of, what we see on the news and everything.
Well, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, but what's great about it is and Nick Logan, who plays Harrison, the straight guy, he's wonderful. He played the character so well, where he's entering this environment that he's not familiar with, and he's just confused and doesn't know what's going on and doesn't understand the references, and there's a lot of misunderstanding, but he's never like, I don't like these people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He just doesn't get it.
and and how was it like sharing scenes with your love in interest of the movie?
Noah, I
Yeah.
remember so we do have like a semi love scene. It gets a little passionate and intimate, but not like insane.
Well, yeah,
And
yeah.
that was yeah, and that was the first scene that we shot together. I don't know why they decided to just throw us into the deep
Oh,
end first.
okay.
That was also like the first time I met Noah, and you saw the movie. Noah's a
Yeah.
very, very, very beautiful and talented
Oh,
man.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
And so I walked in the room and they were like, "You're gonna be making out with this person on the kitchen floor," and I was like, "Okay, I have no problem with that. I have no issue with that at all." Um, and Noah was lovely, and we've worked together a couple times since then, so
Okay.
it's very fun. But yeah, I don't think any of us in the main cast, I don't think any of us actually knew each other beforehand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we did like one Zoom reading. Um, I don't remember, not that long before shooting, and we just read through the script once. So that was nice because we got to like meet everyone and see what everyone's dynamic was and what they
Yeah.
sounded like and everything. But then we just showed up first day and we were like, "Hey, okay," and we're all best friends. Um, but it was a really fun time, and we were shooting in the depth of summer, over Pride Week in Jersey in a non-air conditioned house, so we were soaking wet with sweat, and in a way that brought us closer. So we were all miserable together. It was great.
No one had like one. You ever see like those fans that you make out of paint of paper, and you make like a fan out of it and you wave,
Yeah,
and
yeah. We
no
did. I
no no
mean, well, first of all, it was a bunch of gay guys on set, so we had real fans. Excuse me. Uh, we came prepared. So
Okay,
there were
okay, there
there
you
were
go.
plenty there were plenty of high quality Thorpe fans to go around.
Okay.
Um, which we mainly used for ourselves, but also for Vianne, because Vianne was wearing like a thick, high necked black Victorian gown
Mhm,
in
mhm.
an 110-degree house. So we were
Ooh,
fanning off Vianne because she was being a trooper.
wow, yeah.
It was really hot. But Frankie did get us a gelato truck on the last day, which
Oh, good.
actually, which was very nice of him, but it actually almost caused us to not finish on time because everyone kept leaving to get ice cream. Um, and like everyone, like we were supposed to shoot a scene and no one was in the house, and Wes and Alex were like, "Where is everyone?" We were like, "They're outside getting ice cream." Sorry, it's too hot.
Well, at least he thought of everybody. He knows everyone was sweating and there was no air conditioning. So he's like, why not get them
Yeah,
some ice cream?
yeah. Frankie is one of the most professional and sweet and fun people to work with.
That's what
Um,
I heard. Yeah.
not that that should be a surprise, but I genuinely love Frankie, and I had such a fun time with him. And honestly, he's the star of this movie. He steals the show. He's
Okay.
so funny. Um, and I hope I hope everyone gets to see a different side of Frankie and realize that he actually is very talented.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, everybody in the film too, like they were definitely great in their own roles, and like
Mhm.
the whole, like me personally, like I loved it, like from start to finish, and the little twist at the end, and then the like it was a really well made horror comedy film.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I didn't write it, but I mean, I was part of it. So, uh, yeah, Alex and Wes wrote like a roller coaster of a movie that's really tight and fast, and it's only 75 minutes long, which, by the way, they were kind of surprised at because I
Mm.
remember Alex reached out to me and was like, "This movie's only 75 minutes long," and I was like, "Wow, that's really short." And he was like, "Yeah, we didn't realize it would be that short, but it's because you guys talk so fast." And well, for a gay guy in a movie, of course we're gonna be talking fast. Like, why are you surprised? Um, so I guess we were all talking way too fast. So the movie ended up being really short, which I thought was really funny. Yeah. But no, everyone was so good. And I think also, I mean, throughout most of us, if not all of us, have theatrical backgrounds, including Alex and Wes.
Okay.
So I think just that commonality of how we approach acting and how we approach memorizing lines and rehearsing and everything like that, I think made for a really fun and efficient um shooting process. Because there were, I we've done a few Q&As for this, and there have been other people who were like, how did you film this so fast? And we were like, well,
Yeah.
we all came memorized and off book because that's what we normally do. and I want to say I don't think we ever did more than like two or three takes per scene.
Oh, really? Wow.
We did it pretty fast. I mean, because mainly like we would always rehearse before we would start shooting, which we all
Okay.
enjoyed because it was fun. So we would work out every bit and everything. So by the time the camera was set up and we got to shooting, we were kind of like, all right, let's do it. And we'd do it once and they'd be like, oh, that's perfect. We're like, okay, great, let's move on.
Was there any scene from the movie that you had like the most fun filming?
um I mean, the seance was really fun. That's just we were
Yeah.
all sitting around. Just the sequence that they wrote was really funny. I did really enjoy uh the sequence from it's like right when the lights go off first and we all start freaking out, and then there's the scene where I don't want to put too many spoilers in, but where
Yeah.
Harrison finds his cup and there's wine in it. That entire sequence that's really chaotic, and then eventually like Larry, sorry, like goes on the ground, and then I make a phone call. If you're listening and haven't seen the movie, this makes zero sense. But that entire sequence, we filmed the entire thing, um, which was like, I want to say like 7 or 8 pages of dialogue.
Oh,
And so because of that, it was really fun because it kind of felt like a play, and it was a long sequence. And it was all of us together, and it was really
yeah.
chaotic and fast and high stakes. So I always had that was a really fun time because I think in any time that you're doing anything on film, there's always the like insert shots where they're like, just put your hand on the door handle, and you're like,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and for some reason, those are always the ones that you do like 12 takes of. They're like, can you like put your thumb on the bottom? And you're like, this is gonna be in like 0.5 seconds of the movie. Like, who cares? But
you're like, why do I have to shoot this over and over? I'm
why
opening the
is
door. Like,
yeah, why
really?
is this taking so long? You know? We were just like screaming and crying, and we did that once, and you were like, that was great. And now for some reason you're making me feel like I can't grab a door handle correctly. Like, how dare you? Like
Uh, you're absolutely right. I 100% agree. and and how do you feel like now it seems like more and more like queer films and TV series and it's being made now compared to say like 5 years ago. Like I I feel like now it's everything's starting to be made more and how do you feel about that?
I mean, anytime more queer representation happens is a, you know, is a good thing in my eyes. I do think it's very difficult because it's a delicate process when you're dealing with portraying certain things that that certain groups of the population don't like, because then you have to think about like how you want to portray yourself and how you want to introduce certain communities to other people who aren't, you know, familiar or ignorant to it. And so I don't know, one of my favorite things about Summoning Sylvia is that, you know, I feel like we're showing a side of the queer community that invites you to laugh at and with us. um and so it makes you just leave feeling very happy and like you just spent, you know, a weekend with a group of friends.
Yeah,
And I think,
definitely.
you know, I've never really been, you know, the shows and movies in the past that have talked about like our history and the coming out process and the self-acceptance process and the, you know, the hardships that we face in everyday life. I do think that those are definitely important, and you know, they have their place, and it's good that they're out there for people to see. But I do think that showing queer joy and queer friendship and showing life after coming out and
Yeah.
showing a positive, refreshing, free, and light side of that, I think is so important. Not only to people who you know, don't have a lot of queer representation in their life,
Mhm.
but also just to young queer people, to show them that, look, this is possible as well. It's possible to, you know, there's a life that can happen now or in the near future where you're just hanging out with your friends and having a good time.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
it doesn't always have to be coming out to your parents and
Yeah,
you know, coming out to your friends and dealing with bullies and stuff like that. Like I said, those things are part of life, and you know, it's important that we talk about it. But I think it's important for young queer people to see, um to have hope for for something that's just really light, and you know, yeah, something that doesn't feel heavy.
mhm, yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So
Okay. And what do you like doing during your free time when you're not doing film and television or theater?
I'm extremely boring. I'll play like, I have a Nintendo Switch, but I bought the
Oh
like
yeah,
Nintendo 64 pack that's on there, and I just play the
nice.
I play the old games. So I play
Yeah,
like Pokemon
definitely.
Snap. I play the old version of Pokemon Snap because the new version of Pokemon Snap has too many Pokemon for me to, I can't, it's sensory overload. I harken back to when there were just 150, and even that's pushing it. So I'll play that. That's calming to me.
Okay. So you you love gaming.
Well, okay, I don't know if I definitely I don't think I play enough video games for me to be considered a gamer. I feel like that's an
Okay.
insult. That feel like that's an insult to actual gamers who are very talented. Um I do enjoy the existence of video games and
Okay.
respect the gaming community immensely.
There you go. There you go. And what about horror movies? Are there any horror films you like to watch?
Um I I've never, here's the thing. Again, I love horror movies. I don't like picking them. If someone wants to watch one, I will gladly watch with them.
Okay.
Um, I usually have to can't sit watching them. I have to stand and pace so that I can escape if I need to. Because I do get scared very easily, and I don't like the feeling of being scared, but I do
Um,
love the idea of horror movies. And I think, the more twisted, the better. Um, let's see, what was like, I don't know. But I also do like, as far as like horror movies that I've really enjoyed,
mhm.
I kind of enjoyed the classic concepts. Like I really love The Conjuring
Oh yeah.
and that whole series. And as far I know that's super cliche, but it's just like, oh, it's just like classic demons and haunting. I think that that's really fun. Um, and they're really well made.
Those are some pretty scary films that are
They're
real they're really good.
Yeah, and they're making a TV show, I think, like a Conjuring TV show.
Oh, get out, really?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh wow, okay, nice.
So that should be fun.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll definitely be watching.
Yeah. I think it's like the same actors too. I think the actors that are in the movies are going to be in the TV show. I don't know.
Okay. Okay,
I
sweet.
actually don't know anything. I could be speaking out of my ass. I don't know.
And what about music? Like what kind of songs are on your playlist?
I have a lot of show tunes because I'm a theater kid. I'm a Broadway
Okay.
kid. And so currently, but I also like, and I don't know, I kind of love them all. I've been listening to, if anyone knows She Loves Me. I've been listening to that musical a lot, which is like old. um I don't know. I'll listen to like the same three songs on a loop. It just depends on the vibe that I'm in.
Yeah.
Like just yesterday I was listening to Dirty Little Secret from All American Rejects, and I listened to that. I
Okay,
want to
yeah.
say like I was like I want to listen to that song, and I was on the train, and then as soon as it was over, I was like I'm gonna listen to it again, and then I just listened to it on repeat all the way home, which took me like 45 minutes. So I must have listened to it at least 12 times, but I was like, this is a good song. I want to listen to it again.
You got- Uh, what would be your go-to karaoke song if you were doing it?
My go-to karaoke song. I sing a lot. I've done karaoke quite a bit.
Uh-huh.
And for some reason I always go to Michael Bublé songs. I don't know who I think I am. Uh, but I'll do everything and feeling good and haven't met you yet.
Okay.
I know why I go to that because I'm a gay person who grew up in the early 2000s. That's why. Um, but I'll do that. I love a karaoke room. I'm not a big fan of a karaoke bar where there's
Okay.
other people there like singing badly. Like if I want to do karaoke, I'll be like I'll call my friends who I know can sing
Yeah.
and I'll be like, let's get our own room at like a karaoke bar, like a Korean karaoke bar. So it's just
Oh yeah,
us.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Cause so that way every song is gonna at least sound good because
That's
we're all singers.
true. Yes. And, what was like the last song that was stuck in your head that you would like hum and sing all day?
I mean, it was probably like a jingle, for being honest. Like
Okay.
what's the Allstate jingle?
Oh yeah.
A second. Just be humming that all day. I'm like, "Ugh, this is so annoying."
And which app do you like using the most?
That's a good question. You know, I was a big fan of Facetune, as toxic as that sounds, but very recently they started charging you for literally everything on that app, so I don't like it anymore.
Oh,
Yeah, I shouldn't have to pay to make myself look better. But
sure.
as far as like, I don't know, I do love a TikTok, and I can spend, it's bad. I've lost a lot of sleep because of TikTok. And
Same. Yeah,
right?
that's why I don't use it when I'm about to go to bed. I
You
don't.
can't.
No, no.
You can't. You get in bed and you're like, oh, I'll just watch a few. And then it's like 4 a.m. and you've just
Yeah.
been mindlessly scrolling for
Yes.
like 5 hours. And you're like,
Yes. That has happened to me. Yes.
yeah, that's happened to me multiple times. And I'm like, did I learn anything? I think I did, but I don't remember what I've learned. So I guess I didn't, you know? It's bad.
It definitely is. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. I'll watch the ones where they're like refurbishing or repairing like old, you know, like an old bathroom scale from like the
Oh,
30s.
okay.
And he's like dipping everything in chemicals and scraping all the paint off and then like taking it all apart, putting it, and then shows the before and after. And those are each like 5 minutes long because he's like meticulously scraping all the shit off. And I'm like, yeah, make it clean. I'm like, I know what the end result is going to be. So I don't know why I'm watching this entire thing. You know, it's like, oh, look, here's this really old rocking chair. Let me make it look new. And I'm like, okay, I'll stick around, you know?
It, it,
Stupid.
I, I I mean, you know it's gonna happen, but you
Yeah.
just want to watch it to the end, just in case something goes wrong.
Instead something goes wrong. And then for some reason, when at the end, when it is all finished and it looks pretty, there's a small part of you that feels like you did that. You know, I'm like, oh, I'm really glad that I helped you. I'm glad that I helped you fix that thing.
Sure, yeah.
I didn't do anything.
And what's your favorite junk food to eat?
I'm a hot Cheeto person.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I know it's bad because I feel like I recently heard that like the powder like coats your lungs. I don't know.
ew.
Who knows? The thing is, everything's bad for you now. There's so just enjoy it,
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
true. That's
Yeah.
true.
And so far I can still digest them fine, so I'll keep eating them.
Hey, as long as you can eat it without something getting caught in your throat, you're good.
Absolutely. One of my favorite things to do is like in the morning I'll make a breakfast burrito, and I'm not hungry in the morning
Yeah.
usually, so I'm like forcing myself to eat eggs, which is like when you're not hungry, eating eggs is like the worst thing that you can do to yourself. But I'll make a breakfast burrito, and one of the best ways to make it like at all appealing is to like put a bunch of hot Cheetos in it.
Nice.
And then
Yeah,
there's
that
parts of me
sounds
that are like, I'm
good.
just eating a bunch of hot Cheetos for breakfast, but it's like, nah, there's some eggs in there. I'll drink water afterwards, and that'll cancel out all the
Hey, there you go.
water cancels out all the shit that you ate.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And is there anything coming up next for you that you want to plug? I mean, we all know you're in this amazing horror film. But is there anything else
Mhm.
that you want to plug that you're allowed to?
Yeah, you know, I finished shooting this movie last fall. It's called Space Cadet. I have a really small part in it, but I improvised a few more lines for myself. So
Okay.
there we go. It's being described as Legally Blonde in space, which you know, we had a really great time filming it, and it's starring Emma Roberts
Oh,
and
yeah.
yeah, Julia Roberts' niece, if anyone doesn't know that. And yeah, it should be a really fun, cute comedy. And I think it's coming out this year sometime. I don't know. Maybe next year. But either way, I'm wearing a jumpsuit. It's really fun.
Okay. Okay.
We
Sweet.
shot, yeah. We shot it in Alabama, which I've always wanted to travel for work, somewhere
Oh, wow.
exotic. So going to Alabama was just a treat. It was fun.
The good Alabama's the South, right?
Yeah, it is. So yeah, we went to a couple of barbecue places and they were really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. And where could fans follow you at?
I'm on Instagram and my handle is Mr. Troy Iwata. Just my name with Mr. in front of it. And I don't have Twitter and I don't have TikTok. I have TikTok, but I don't make any. So sorry about that. So you can see pictures of me on my Instagram. And that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking time out and coming on the show and doing this. It was really awesome talking to you and meeting you. So
It's a
thanks.
pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had fun with this.
Yeah. Thank you.
Definitely. All right, buddy. Well, have a good night and rest of the week.
You as well. Hopefully it's
Thank you.
nice wherever you are. You said
So
where were you? Were in Philly? Okay,
yeah,
well we're pretty close. So we probably have like the same weather.
yeah. It's actually beautiful out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting nice. This is a great way to end the podcast. It's just by talking about weather.
Right.
It's so
Exactly.
exciting. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye.